All right, so we're checking out Diesel today. We checked it out last week too, and we did not end with a victory. Here we are. What ended up happening was we sort of got through the tutorial bit. We can go in and take a look at it. So here's their tutorial. The problem that we ran into is that, so the tutorial works. Like we were able to get that working just exactly the way they tell us to. But what they didn't say was how to integrate this in such a way that it would be, good with the rest of the application. And what I mean by that is if we take a look at where they're suggesting that we put these things, basically they created a library crate and then created binaries within that for each of the specific areas that we're going to be learning how to do. I had this idea that Diesel was mainly a query builder, and that's what its primary function was. So I was attempting to go down the rabbit hole of, hey, let's create these functions, let's put up all of our queries into it, and it'll be great. But I've learned that that's not exactly how Diesel works, and it took me all week to sort of figure that out. I think it was on Thursday or Wednesday night. I was reading some blog posts trying to find more tutorials about Diesel. And then I learned that one of the creators of Diesel was also one of the creators of Active Sync, I think. Is that it's the ORM for Ruby on Rails. Now I haven't used Ruby on Rails, but I have used Eloquent, which is that sort of ORM for Laravel, and they're closely related to each other because they're sort of like growing in each other. Laravel is heavily referenced. Ruby's Active Directory, no, that's Windows, Active Sync, while it was being built. So as soon as I heard that, I knew that I was going on the wrong path. And I was thinking about this as if it was like Connects, which is a query builder for Node.js. And I needed to switch over to think it's like Eloquent for PHP and how I would use it in applications there. And then I was able to get to like the very basic stuff working right away. It just sort of clicked and started making sense. But so we're going to do the full tutorial now because I only got reads really working there. And I want to be able to make sure that I can do all of the stuff, all the CRUDs. Okay, so we've already, let's see, I've created now a new project. See into it. Okay, so we need to add in our dependencies. Let's go into cargo.toml. Add these in here. We're going to do Postgres for this. I'm also going to go ahead and just get the latest versions of these. So whatever those are, and I think .env is still 0.9. Let's go find that out. 0.15. So 0.15. And I think that Diesel is still 1 dot like something. So we save that, close U. RLS is building. I'm going to move my documentation over to this side. So just like with you, I'm capturing an individual windows open. So I do have like some more things open on the screen. So it's a new way for me to get used to, and I have to make sure that I actually have this set up so I can see the windows just like you see them. Cargo is a bit like package.json in Node. Yes, I would say Cargo is sort of like like npm, right? So you could do like npm start, and that starts your entire project up. So we can do cargo run, and that runs our project. We could do cargo install. There is no, like, from what I can tell, like a cargo install, like npm install, where it will auto add things to our cargo.toml file. We have to do that manually, and then just whenever we run it, it just runs and pulls in whatever is needed there. So it's very similar to npm. in that sense. It is a lot more because it is a compiled language where we're going to create binaries from it instead of just run it. There's a few more things that we can do with it too. Hey, stop trying to drag. This mouse, I haven't replaced it, and it still double clicks sometimes, which is fun. Okay, so what we're going to do here. Back to you, Diesel. So we installed the CLI before, and so I've got that all set up for us. Now, what we do need to set up is a .env file. Chill vibes. All right, so let's go ahead. Touch.env. Okay, so in here, what we're going to do is say database URL equals, and then we have to give it a full connection string. So it's not going to be, like some other like Eloquent, like not Eloquent, but Laravel with its database connection, for example, wants like the actual complete separate things like database URL, database password, database user. We're not going to do that. It's all going to be a single connection string. And I have been playing around with external sources here. Let's see if I'm still logged in. What is it? It's there we go. I know you can't. Oh, I have to sign in. Okay, never mind. Well, fine then. Let's go ahead and get this running with Docker. Let's see, hub.docker.com. I guess one question is, do I have Docker installed on this computer? I do, and a whole bunch of images. Cool. Let's not go about you. Let's go to Postgres. MLab. Isn't MLab only for Mongo? Or is like MLab just a very generic, like it hosts all the databases? YH. Is that yes? Okay, so I want to Postgres, Docker run. Okay, so here's our, oh, just Mongo. Yeah, so unfortunately that won't work with us right now because we need Postgres. So if I run this here, so to Docker run, give it some name, some Postgres. So I actually probably want this just to be, I can't find a free SQL hosting provider that has a public URL. I mean, you could probably use, let's see, who would I use for that? Heroku, like sort of create a fake project and then attach a Heroku account to it, and you can get like the free basic version of a SQL server. But yeah, it's definitely not exactly, it's not exactly the same as like MLab or some other Mongo stuff. Postgres password, my secret password, perfect. And then DSD, Postgres. Oh, and you know what? I need to connect it. Environment variable. Let's do p. What ports are normally available? Do they? I forget. Is it 54321 or 5432? I can't remember what the port for Postgres is. Now I could just run this here. We could just do this. Just run it. Connect any good old port with that, and then we'll do. You haven't tried Heroku for 10 years? Oh man! So it's both the same and different. In those 10 years, they got bought by Salesforce. But Salesforce hasn't really done much with them as far like from the public side. You do need a credit card to sign up for like to get those services. Docker PS. So here it is. We are connecting port 32768 5432. Okay, that I thought it was like a down step port. Okay, but we can now create our database URL. So I think it is Postgres : / let's see, what is that going to be? We need a username. So I think that, what username? Is that just Postgres? Default user Postgres. So it's going to be Postgres : Am I missing : or I have : Do I not? Is it just one colon? Now I can't remember. Now everything feels wrong now. Wait, can I get the actual? Oh yeah, it is one colon. One colon, then username : the password. So we see that is my secret password. And then it's going to be at localhost : 32768 / and then the name of the database. So we have to come back here and the value of Postgres user. So it's just going to be Postgres is going to be the name of the database for this. So that should be good enough for this. And then I have, you know what I bet I could do? I bet I can now, let's see, Docker exec, Docker, no, I think it is right. Docker exec -it to connect in. I want the name of the thing, which is just Postgres and /bin bash. That drops me in here, and now I can do PSQL. PSQL-u Postgres, and here I am. So I think there it is. List table. Let's list databases. Okay, I forget the exact commands for it. We'll figure it out once we set this up. But we have the data. Oh, I guess we have the table Postgres. Postgres does not exist. We're in Postgres database though. Star from. Oh, we have no tables. We have a database with no tables. That's what it is. Okay, got it. So with that being done, we've got our connection string set up. We now need to run diesel setup. And that creates for us migration folder here. And it creates like this very basic migrations that are already going to run for us as soon as we run these. No, stop trying to recommend my Microsoft SQL. Never. Which is fine, but we don't want to mess with those. We want to create a brand new, and so we can do these, generate like this post that they're doing. So we're going to do diesel migration generate. So create a new migration, and we're going to do create posts. Have you ever used a migration, or are you familiar with Postgres, Viable Plan Member, or is it mostly Mongo? Okay, so we're going to create table, I think posts, and they actually have this right here of what we want to create in here. Okay, so create table posts, parentheses, because each line is a new thing. You wrote your own, but oh, so you've written your own migration stuff, but only runs ups. Oh yeah. So downs is actually controversial, I found, in at least the real world. Like some people I worked with don't want to have a down even defined. That way, if you accidentally run migrate down, it doesn't delete all your data. All right, so this is also going to be our primary key. All right, so we're going to have a blog post title. And so they have this as varchar. I can see that. But I'm going to say varchar 255. So we can have a good number of characters. So we're going to have to say this is not null. Yeah, what if the version number becomes invalid syntax, becomes 000, and wipes your whole... Yeah, I know. Like, imagine if that were to happen. If you're going to test your data, your backups then. Like, it shouldn't happen, but I could also see it happening. Okay, so we're also going to have a body. And so we're using text for this because that's pretty much unlimited size. Not null. And then we want a published. I want this to be a Boolean. So we want this to be not null, so we can't null it. And then default. Now they have this F here. Can I do default false? I want to check Postgres Boolean. Is it like FT or false? Okay, val literal values for true state are true, T, true. Oh, okay, so I can do that. I might want just this, because that's not like a string then. This is just the actual Boolean value. Thank you. Got myself some tea. All right. Let's see, where were we? So this is going to be our published default true. Come back to diesel. That was what? Oh, I accidentally created another window. I don't want that. Back to you. OBS, how did you like that? Oh, interesting. It switched to the wrong version of, it switched to what I didn't want. So let's go into studio mode. Firefox, you switched to the wrong version of Firefox. I want you. That was weird. All right, hopefully that won't happen again. All right, so this gives us our up for this. Now, for down, we're just going to do the exact opposite. Drop table posts, and that's it. Now we can do diesel migration run. Now they say, hey, to make sure it runs, just run migration redo, or switch back over here, and I should be able to do /d. This lists all of our relations, and here's our posts. And so I can now do it's like DT posts. No, it's /t posts. Oh, I forget like exactly what the command is in order to like give me like the types and everything else. I could just do table posts like that. And that just shows us here we got ID, table, body, and published, and it's empty. Right now, all you can think of is you wish Prisma IO offered Rust output. I don't know if I know Prisma IO. Like, it sounds really familiar, so I'm sure I've been told about it before. Okay, so we've got ourselves some migration stuff. Yeah, okay, you showed it to me. I bet it outputs to Go right now. Okay. I think that's probably, I looked at it, saw that it was Go, and was like, okay. And then forgot about it. Chantilly, hello. Good morning. Let's see. So, okay, now we're gonna go in and start actually like doing coding stuff. So the first thing we want to do is actually connect to the database. And this is where I'm gonna just very slightly move away from the tutorial, like I tried to do last week, and then it failed. But this time, I know a little bit more about what we're going to be trying to do. So, in our main file, here I want to get the connection, and then I'm going to pass that into the main library. So I guess what we can start with is create a main library. So I'm going to create live.rs. And in here, let's do a public struct, and I guess like we'll call this diesel demo, diesel demo state. Yeah, I don't know what else to call it, so I'll just do that. In here, we're gonna have the database connection, and this is going to be a type, and we're sort of given it here. We need to use, or we need to do extern create diesel, and then use diesel PG connection, and then here this is a type PG connection. So we're going to give ownership to this. And so now we're going to have a new, so implement diesel demo, public function new. We're going to bring in a connection. I guess I'll just call this database connection. You are a PG connection, and we're going to return a diesel demo. And this is just going to be diesel demo, database connection, just like that. So pretty simple. But the idea here is that we're going to give ownership over to this core application, and we're going to store it in state. So now I can start using this in a variety of places. But like all main's job is going to be to connect to the database, and then, or I guess like connect to the database and then give us like back stuff. And then we're going to take care of everything else in lib and other mods too. Okay, so let's actually do that. So first of all, we need .env stuff. So extern create .env. I think that was it. We want to use .env, .env, yes, and then .env, I think, yeah, just like this, and then .ok. Now that should load in that database URL into the environment variables. So now I can use standard env. And so I'll close you for right now. What is this going to be? It's going to be I guess our database URL equals, and so then we're gonna have to actually like get that. So I think it's env. Oh, what is it? Is it env var? We actually have it right here. Env var. Env var, the key, and the key is right here. So I can just copy you. pass you in as a string slice or a string literal. And then we need to expect this because it could potentially error. So error loading the database URL. Okay, now we have a database URL connection string. Next up, we need to establish our connections. That's what we're doing right here. So extern crate. You know, and now that I think about it, we don't even necessarily need to do this here. What if I in our library, yes, we're going to store that here, but database connection. So what if I just do this as database URL, and this is just a string. What's the way where I can do like a static string? Something like that. I mean, it's not yelling at me. Okay, so that gives us database connection here, but that means, so let's call it extern crate. This is diesel with Postgres. And we want to use diesel with Postgres, and then diesel demo. Let diesel demo equals diesel demo new, and then we're going to pass in our database URL. Is it actually just a full string? Is that what this is? Come on, tell me. Oh, it won't because you can't find crate. I think actually this is probably a full string, so it doesn't need to be a static or anything. I can just say you are a string, capital S. Now if I comment you out, I think everything should work here. Let's go ahead and run this. Cargo run. Let's see what errors we get. Oh, right. Okay, we have to compile this, and that might be one of the reasons that we're having a little bit of trouble with RLS, is we have to fully compile it so that we can run it. And this always takes a little bit of time. I'm really curious if I tell this to restart the RLS. Yeah, that goes away. Okay, so it wasn't really a problem. That happens every once in a while, I found. RLS is just sort of gets confused, especially when I'm pulling in, the crate itself that I'm creating. But while this runs, we shouldn't have any sort of problems here. We're not really using diesel demo, although we can definitely start using it in the future. But I'm going to underscore that so that way we don't have any more any sort of warnings with that. In our library, we can turn this on again. And so it's going to yell at us that we're not actually returning a database connection. That's not actually created. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to say let database connection equals, and so we have our PG connection. And we're going to establish, pass it the database URL, and then .expect. And so this is interesting because I could very much do a question mark here if I figure out exactly what this returns. It's a connection result. Connection result. Okay, so if I use, I don't think I have access to connection result. I think that's private if I remember correctly. So I do have to do an expect here. And we're going to say error connecting to the database. All right, save that. And then we connect in. Now establish is, okay, it's not in the current scope, and that's where we need to bring in the prelude. And that should make it work. Database URL, expected reference to string, and found a full string. So this needs to be a reference. All right, this ran just fine, no errors. So that's perfect. All right, and so now we have stored our database connection. And so it's fully there and working. Now, they're gonna bring our they're gonna have us create a model. Before I create a model, because I think this is one of the areas where I got really confused last time. No, not that command, this command. I want to bring our attention to schema here. So we have, like this was created for us as soon as we ran our migrations. It basically is a table macro that has like this post, ID, and then everything and all the types that is inside of our database there. Now this table macro is going to do some, I mean, it's very simple. Like it doesn't look anything crazy or interesting right here, but this is the source of the magic, or this is our interface with the magic of Diesel when we run our queries, when we do our inserts, when we do anything really. The models that we create are actually kind of just telling Diesel what to do, but the magic happens behind the scenes. Okay, so we need to tell it that this file exists. It was created for us. So let's do that. We're going to do, I don't know if we need to make this public. I'm just going to do mod schema. Also something I discovered, there's this diesel.toml that was created here, and we have this file source schema. This is where that schema is going to live. So I can very easily move that around. So if I have a really complicated application and I want like a database directory with everything in there, that's how I can put this in there. Okay, and then I'm going to do mod, and so this is going to be our model. So I'm just going to call this, well, we're calling it post. I'm going to have a post model. That's a slight change. They have like, well, they have their models like separate, all together in one. I think I'm really used to doing models separately. I'll do it right now together, and all it's doing is yelling at me that I don't have a models file. So let's create that, models.rs. Okay, so in our models, we need to create a structure that matches what we have in here. So I'm going to go ahead and put this down at the bottom. And the documentation here says that it's imperative. So I know there's a drive. I'm going to ignore it for right this second. It's imperative that we create this in the exact same order that we have here. So I'm going to say we have an ID. And this is a I32. And that's because I looked around for a little bit just to try to figure out, like, are there other numbers I can use? Like, why can't I use an unsigned number for our ID? Postgres and a lot of databases are using integers for IDs. Even though they don't ever want them to go negative, they're still integers. And sometimes they're like I4s, which is not even a thing, according to like most languages that I know, but they're interesting. But okay, that's besides the point. Okay, we have an ID. we have our title. This is going to be a string. We have our body. This is going to be a string. And we have published, which is going to be a Boolean. Pub struct, this is going to be a post, a single post. Now, by itself, this isn't really helpful. It's just a type. And what we're going to do is we're going to add this derive. And they say like it's queryable. Okay, queryable. Let's add that in here. And now it's going to yell at us that it doesn't know what it cannot find derive macro queryable in this scope. We have to come back to here, and when we bring in extern crate, we have to do this macro use. Doing that here will make this proper again. Okay, perfect. So what is queryable? Queryable is going to be telling Diesel that this is connected to a database and it's queryable, as in we can do a select statement to it. That's pretty much all it's doing, is telling Diesel that it's a table that we can do a select query against. Perfect. So there's our models, we have our schema, they look at that. And so now they have this entire, like, we want to actually get the posts. And here's what I'm thinking we're going to do. In maybe like main, we can do like a Diesel run or Diesel like get post. Or maybe like we can actually probably get input. Input from the command line, and then it will like choose what we want to do and how we want to interact with the database from this point. Which I forget how to do that right off the bat. I know that we can get. Actually, I think it's in here when we write a post. Now let's add a function to save a new post. So that's just a function, and it's going to take body, and we need read line. Okay, so we're going to use read line for this. So we're probably going to want a run command for this. So let's do pub function run. I don't think we need to do anything here. And I'm just going to pretty much have this empty. We do need to take in at least a reference to self. I don't think it needs to be mutable at this point in time. And in main, I can now run it. Diesel demo that run. Now, that's not really going to do anything for us, but the first thing I can put in here is displaying print line, displaying all posts. And we could probably have now a function that we call from there to actually like get all the posts. So we're going to display all the posts, or maybe like display all the titles. Because like they start off here with, let's write code to show us the posts. Oh, it's like post and then the post body. We can do that. Maybe we can like just display all the post titles. I didn't really think about like, I'm not thinking of like actually making like a full blog application, like terminal application for this, but I want to like, okay, have some kind of interaction so we can show the difference between when we're running like the inserts and the updates and the gets. So I'm thinking we want to just display the titles right now. Okay, that will be it. We want get all and get one, right? So we want to get all the titles, display them down with maybe, I don't know, but I think I'm overthinking it. Let's just do what they say for right now, and then maybe we'll figure out what we want more. So display all posts, and let's maybe not even display all points here. What if I have another function here that's not public? So function display all posts. Yeah, I like this more. Self, and then if I just actually have this display. Now in here we're going to have the display all posts. We're going to say self dot display all posts like that. All right, so now we need to actually connect into the database here. And they have this like use diesel demo schema post weirdness here. This is what was really tripping me up initially. But once I realized that all the magic is happening through the interface of that schema file, that makes everything have more sense. So we're going to say use, and we need this schema, which we're bringing in here. So use schema, and then it's going to be the posts, and then DSL, which I forget exactly what it stands for. It's L is language, database sequence. No, I don't even want to guess. Just bring that all in. This brings in all the magic of like our select statements and everything else. Now we have the connection already, so we don't need to do this established connection thing that they're doing here. Instead, we can go straight into getting our results. So let all posts equals, and we're going to do posts dot. We don't need filter. I don't need to filter any of them out. I just want everything. I don't want to even limit anything. So I can just go straight to load. And I now need to give it the type. And so here's the key of using the model. This is going to be, nope, this one. This is going to be our, we need to give it this type so that way it knows that it's queryable and it knows exactly what is in that database. And we have that in mod models. So I can actually use models post. So give it post here. And then we're going to give it a reference to self.database connection. Now it has this entire expect. So what does this return? A query result, which I'm not exactly sure I have access to. So it's not the best case, like it's not best practice to just put these expects everywhere. But we'll just say error getting all posts. All right, so we now have all the posts. So print the line displaying all posts, and then we can now loop through them. So for post in all posts, it implements iterator for us. It's basically just a vector. Now we can print out the title. So we're going to do another print line. We can have we could just do this. I'll just do title post dot title. They have a nice print line of like a whole bunch of these. And And finally, another print line of the body. So I'm just going to go straight to here and post.body. Now you are upset because you don't know, oh, title of struct post, so we need to make sure that these are public so we have access to them. All right, back here, and here we go. So here's displaying all posts, and so now we just run display all posts as soon as this thing starts. Let's try it. We should have absolutely nothing. In fact, I guess I don't need this title. What I do probably want is maybe another print line. Just sort of ended there. That way there's a space, blank line between all of our posts. So if I run this, displaying all posts. Of course, there's no posts, so that's not really helpful. What we can do is come into a PSQL here and just manually add in a post ourselves. So insert into posts. What is it? It's the name of the IDs here. So we don't need ID. We need title, body, published. And I think published is going to have a default value, so I don't even need that. Title and body, values. This is going to be, let's do first post, and then hello Twitch, this is my first post. All right, insert 01. If we look at table posts, here we go. We've got our first post. And so now, if we run this again, displaying all posts, first post, hello Twitch, this is my first post. So I could add another one and we'll get all of the different posts, but we don't need to do that. So we've got our gets. We've got a get all. We're already past what we got last week. All right, continuing on. Okay, so now we want to add in something to create a new post. What I'm thinking of is maybe in our main library, we need some ability to tell it, how about you go away. We need some ability to know that we want to create a new post. So maybe we can just have a another function here to just add a new post. So function add new post. Nice, yes. Let's see, reference to self. Well, okay, what do we want to do? Well, the first thing we need to do is we need to actually reach out to the command line and ask, all right, give me the new title. And so that's what we're going to do here. We need the standard in read line, and so we're actually bringing in standard IO, standard in and read. So we can do that up here. Standard IO, and this is going to be, we need read, and what was it? It was, standard in. Interesting. Wonder why it, I don't know why it reversed it like that. I guess RLS really wants standard in first. I always figured it was by alphabet, but that's not true here. All right, so print line. what should, or I'll just do title. Creating new post. Print line, title. And so this is where we're going to read line. So we're going to say, oh, right. So we need to actually like get the entire thing from like wherever like, it's this entire fun thing to get text from the command line. So we have to create a string on a capital S string first. And then we're going to pass that string into standard in read line. It's going to like get that, prompt the user for that, and then return, like then mutate the string. Okay, so I could do this like, it's not the cleanest, but let's just, for easiness sake, let's just do it right here, and we can maybe refactor later if we decide we have time for it. So we're going to have title. We need this to be mutable because we're handing it. It's going to be a brand new string. So new, like that. So we create a new empty string. And so this is where we're going to do, okay, standard in. We want to read, and then we have to have it, the buffer that we're going to read into. It's read line. Read line, hand it the buffer, so it's a mutable reference to title. Now they have this entire unwrap here because this could fail. And what does read line return? It returns an IO result usize. So I could return that here and then question mark it. Or I could just continue on with my, it's a result, not a potential error. So we're going to unwrap it. So if nothing is passed in for some reason, just a crash. That's what we're going to do. We're just going to crash. Now we have a title. Well, time to give ourselves a print line body. And we'll do the exact same thing. So new body equals string new standard in read line, hand it a mutable reference to the body, and unwrap. All right, so now we have a title and a body. Now we need to create a new post. We need to actually create like the object essentially that's going to go and like be put into the database. And that's up here. So they have this function create post. It's going to get the title, it's going to get the body, and it's also going to get the connection. It's going to use the schema posts, and we're going to call new post. Where does new post come in? Oh, self models. Okay. So we need a new post. So they actually talked about this in models here. So this is where I think maybe a different file for each model would be nice, because then I can like individually grab each one depending upon what I want. So we need this pub struct, exactly what we're going to put into it. So new post. Okay, so we're going to have, does this need to be, I don't know if it needs to be public. I'm thinking it needs to be public because they have it public here. So we need a title, and this is going to be a string, and we need a body, which is going to be a string. We need to implement new post. We don't need to, but I think it's nice to have like a new in here. So public function new. We're going to bring in a title, which is a string, and a body, which is a string. We're going to return a new post. All right, so this is going to be good old new post title body, just like that. So now I need to grab that out of here. So we have models, we're going post, so we need post and also new post. Down here, we now need to create a new post, so that new post equals new post new, and what is this going to be? This is going to be a, I guess we're just going to pass in our title and body. We'll give ownership to them because it's going to be inside of the, it's now owned inside of new post. Now, we're about to do this default insert into and like tell it exactly where to go, which is why we need to use like this schema posts to get the insert into working, because it needs to know where this post is. So we can start there. So this is use schema posts. We're not using this DSL this time because we're not doing queries. We can now start using this. So we need diesel insert into, and it's going to be a target. So posts, come on. No, not that. Definitely not that. Table. So we need to insert into the post table. And then it has this entire, okay, so values and a reference to the new post. Not that, new, there you go, new post. Now, get result connection. So I'm not, let's see, when we call get result and insert update statement, it automatically adds returning star to the end of the query and lets it load as into a struct that implements queryable for the right types. Okay, so basically, this can get us like the entire thing back that we inserted, which could be cool. I think I can also do, I bet there's like a get ID in there too. Or nothing at all. I bet I could just like go straight to like expect. That's what I found with some of the other chainable things is we don't always need to do that. We can for right now. I think I just wanted to get the ID. So let's go find diesel. Come on, diesel. And I want to see if similar to get result, if there's a get documentation, get ID. So let's do get ID. No, there's not that. Returning. So this is query builder returning. How about insert into? So here's this insert into thing. And that's what we're using. So insert into users. So we're doing posts essentially. Values. So we're putting the values and then execute. Now this is rows inserted. So interesting. Incomplete insert statement is what insert into returns. But of course, then we can just use like these values and execute and everything else to sort of like finish it. And I think this is going to be the count of rows inserted. But if I want to return the ID, just get the idea of what was inserted. That's what I want. And I want to figure out where, with return value. Okay, so there's just dot returning and then name here. That's really interesting. If I want the ID, like where does it get name? Because I don't necessarily see name anywhere else in this example. I could try just putting in a this. So let's just do dot returning returns. If I just do like ID, pass it a string slice ID. And then back to the tutorial. We then want to expect this. Expect and oh, I need to hand the connection. Where does that go? Get result connection. Where was that elsewhere? Oh, execute. Dot execute. Execute a reference to self.database connection. Then dot expect error adding post. Well, you're unhappy with this, so new post. Okay, we didn't add those. We didn't add insertable. We didn't add the derives into it. So here's where it's telling us, hey, we didn't, we have trait bound insertable is not satisfied. And also, yeah, so like insertable needs to be added to new post. Yeah, it's basically the same thing over and over again. So let's go back to models here. We have our new post, and we need to derive insertable, like that. Now, was there anything else in here that it wanted us? So also to tell us what table this comes from, because it doesn't. We tell it here, but it wants to know where this comes from. Derive me only. Oh, you're on the wrong thing. You're here. And so we also need to give it table name equals posts. All right, what did I miss in here? Drive insertable. You're not upset with that. Table name equals string of post. So pub struct. Okay, so I do need to bring in the schema here. So that way it's available to me. So use super in Rust allows me to go up one directory. So if we bring up our directory structure, we're in models, we need to go up and then go straight to schema. So super schema posts. And now that allows me to reference it here. Okay, now we still have 3 errors. Here you're saying it okay. If I do returning everything, so just .get result, connections, that's self.database connection. We can't do u twice. type annotations needed. Cannot infer type for parameter u. Okay, so what did I do wrong here? We have get result, connection. We have our values being passed in. These are full strings that I have there. Can I infer type for parameter u, which I don't know where I'm using that parameter unless it's like inside of the connection or something. I kind of want to run this just to see what the error is going to be. Oh, but I'm not actually running it yet. So I need to add a new post. So in run, let's do self.add new post, and we'll display all the posts, and then we'll add a post. Okay, so in get result, cannot infer type for parameter u. I don't know where parameter u is. Consider specifying the type argument in the method call get result. Oh, did I miss that? No? There's no get result with like a parameter passed in. But I'm thinking we need to tell it what's coming back. And so we know that it's going to be a post. So how about that? All right, so that's working. So we told it that it's going to be a post coming back. Create a new post. Title, how about second post? And this thing is great. Okay, so that's perfect. Let's go into our database and actually see if that added in. There you go. Second post, this thing is great. Notice how I have this plus here. I think that's because it's not recording like a new line for us. It's like that's the end of the line. Whereas here it's like a new line character or some weird typing for like the end of the statement is happening, probably because the way we got it from the read line. I don't think we need to worry about it right this second, but okay, perfect. So we now have like the ability to add a post and get a post. We could really quickly add in here like, what do we want to do? Get all read all posts or add a post. Let's see what the next thing is. All right, so you know what? I had filter published is true. Okay, so I had filters are true. So let's actually take a look at this. We made default to be true. In reality, it probably should be false because they're not published until we like mark them to be published. And so the way I think the best way to do this would be to create another migration. So of course I could just go in and edit this. I could just come in and say, well, I want this to be false now. If I did that, the migration has already been run. I would have to, I would now be like out of sync with how everything works. In production, once you sort of like start using a database, you're not supposed to update previous migrations, especially if you push these to production. So instead, you'd need to create a new migration to alter the table posts and reset published to be a new type, which I think we can do with, come over here. I want to say diesel migrations generate. Is it migration generate? And this is going to be set like posts default. I'll just do that. All right, so that creates our migration. That creates a brand new migration. Let's go ahead and say alter table posts. Not that. That. We want to say published. Wait, what happened there? I want to look at you. We want published to be basically this, but false instead. I think this will work. It's been a while since I've done migrations in raw SQL. Chris Don't Miss, hello. Will migrations handle if you need to add another column to the table? Absolutely, yes. I could add another column here. So it's just part of alter table. So I'm able to say like, okay, published is that, and maybe like, I don't know, we can do likes is an integer. Let's see, not null default 0. So I can do that. So let's try this, see what happens. And then down. Down is here. For this, the opposite of that would be alter table. There's a remove. There's a remove column. I'll have this. Alter table. Okay, so alter. Oh, okay, so it's rename, comma, set schema. I think I'm doing it slightly wrong. Let's go down and take a look at the. I always go to the examples. I find that those are a little bit easier for me to look through than just that documentation because it doesn't necessarily show what I want to do. So here's how I would add a column. So alter table, and then table name. So let's go back to here. So wait. Back to here. So alter table posts, and I need to alter. Okay, so it's going to be alter column published, and I want to set. I basically want just this to happen. And then I want to add a column. Likes, which is an integer not null with default 0. Ooh, okay, so it's let's see. Alter column published. I think I might just be able to do that. Set the default. Set default, okay. It's going to be set default, then add column likes integer not null default 0. Okay, so let's try this. Now in here and down, it's going to be posts, and in here we're going to be, I think it's drop column. Drop column. Oh no, it's not. Oh yeah, we're gonna drop the column likes, and then we also want to alter column published, and I want to set default to be true. So the exact opposite of what we're doing in the up. Now, if I run this, and I kind of want to, I know there's like question mark. I want to see what the types are. Don't execute query. Well, this doesn't give me very much. Oh, wait, more. Okay, so describe table. So ds plus. So maybe that's what I want, ds. Oh, list schemas. So dn. That might be it, dn. Or dt. Ooh, dt with data types. Okay, we have a few here. So we have ds posts. Okay. Wait, did not find a relation named posts. Slash list. No, that's databases. What is it? Table posts. Well, okay, so there is a relation post. Oh, wait, there's not like a relation between two tables. Maybe that's the problem. How about dn posts? We don't have a list of schemas apparently. dt posts. dt posts slash dn posts with capitals. Nope. ds posts. There we go. D capital S posts. That gives us, okay, so ID is an integer. Title is a varchar 255. Body is text. Published is Boolean with a default value of true. Okay, so now let's run our, let's run this. Now we've saved everything, I believe. So diesel migration run. It should only, oh, failed at syntax. Okay, so so this is up. It doesn't like this. Oh, is it gonna be everything is like alter column? Is it add column too? Or is it let's see, add column. Oh no, there it is, add column. So save view, alter table post, add column likes, do that entire thing. Alter column published, set default to be true. All right, let's try this. All right, random migration. Let's switch back over to PSQL. And so now we have likes. Default is 0. It's an integer. Published is false. Oh, I set it to be true again. Well, all right, let's roll back. Because we haven't changed any data, this should be fine. I dyslexized this. I wanted it to be false. So I want to come back to here, and I want to, I think it's reverts. Reverts the latest migration. So just the one we just did. Oh, it doesn't like that down we have, so we have to fix this too. So this is going to be alter table post, drop column likes, alter column published, set default true. Okay, so revert rolls back that. So now we're back to where we were before. We removed the likes. Now we fix this, and we make this false. Save it. We run the migration again. And here we go. Default is now false. Perfect. Okay, so now if I create a new post, so let's run. So cargo run. Ooh, we have a few errors in here now. Trait bound, so .load. Integer is not implemented. So we want to load a post. Ooh, I think the problem is because I've added a new thing to our models, we have to update this too. So we have post. We now have to have a pub likes. You are an I32. We're not going to set like anything like that up. Let's try this again. Cowtail, hello. Is this a database on my local PC? Yes, I've got it in a Docker container. All right, so we have our first post, hello Twitch, and our second post. So let's create a new post. This is, we'll call this third post, and I am not published yet. Okay. Interesting that you only have one tab for the terminal and switch between Bash and Docker with the dropdown. Is it possible? I think I can. What I'm worried about, so if I split the terminal, oh, that sucks. I can't like move it. I can't move it like to this other one. That would be nice. I was worried that it would be too like hard to read. Like this, if I don't have it like the full width of the screen, then it would be a little bit harder. Docker is something like images. You can just duplicate the image on a remote server, right? Yes. Databases are not like the best practice of throwing into like server, actually running them on a server, both for performance reasons, but also because of like the effect. Docker is like really best for ephemeral state stuff, and database is like literally the opposite of that. What you can do is basically store the database and just tell it like, oh, use this external disk drive like area and store all the data there. But then you run into massive performance problems. So I wouldn't do databases in production in Docker, but for testing, oh, it's perfect. All right, well, I'm not going to do multiple windows like this. I want you to go away now. I should probably figure out what the key commands to switch between these are instead of just clicking it every single time. All right, so we now have our new post. If I just want to like, only display the post and not like create a new one, well, the easiest way is to go into our library and just not add a new post right now. I should probably have like something implemented so I could add in like a to-do. To-do, let's see, determine, like ask the user, want to add a post. And so now, if I switch back to you, cargo run. So we get this third post that's not published yet. So we want to filter that out and not show them. So in our get display all posts, in this load, this post, we want to have a filter. And it actually tells us what this looks like here. Way up here where we show all the posts, we want to filter published and equal to essentially just true, a Boolean. You forgot all your database knowledge? I know, I've forgotten most of my raw SQL knowledge just because I've been using ORMs and everything else. And so I think actually just having to write raw SQL with Diesel is going to help me out with that again. Okay, so I don't want to limit. I just want to filter out. Oh, it has to happen before load. So we want to filter. And this is going to be published. And so this is super interesting that we're doing just like publish directly off of that. That's because of this post DSL is bringing in everything that we possibly need. And so it's equal to be true. So only publish things. So if I do this, let's run this again. Cargo run. And now we only get 2 of them. So that the non-published post is no longer being loaded in. So we want to have an update now. Okay, so we're also going to want to like have some to do, ask the user if we want to publish a post. I guess we can. They have this down here. We want to new post, publish post. So in here, it's just gonna be like set publish to be equal to true, and it's gonna be an update off of this. Now, the problem with this, so they're getting arguments off of the command line. So it's like, hey, do you want to publish this post? I'm thinking to be consistent. Let's create a new function here. Function publish post. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to print line what post do you want to publish? Now this could be interesting because I could actually get I could print out all the IDs. Like I could print out all the titles. So I can actually have another function here. Function print like display to do post titles. Which is actually going to be very similar to display all posts. So I'm just going to copy the content. I'm going to be evil, copy the contents of here. I'm not violating rule 3 yet, just the rule 2 so far. We're going to get all of these. So we're going to filter the published equal to be false now. Load all the posts. Expect getting all unpublished posts. Okay, so displaying, and so here, I guess this could be all unpublished posts, and so for posts and all posts. What I want here is the ID, so colon, and then this. And so we're going to do posted ID, and then post.title. Just like that. So we're just going to look at a list of all the posts. Is that idea of this to be a database or a form or something? Not really. What I really want to do in the end is I want to create a chatbot and store like basically who's coming and chatting into a database so I can like get some metrics on returning users. Twitch doesn't give me adequate like metrics for that, so that's what I'm eventually going to do. But I need to learn how to integrate a database into REST for that. And I didn't want to just do this in PHP or Node because that would be, I could just do it really quickly, but I also want to learn more REST. So that's why I'm doing that. What metrics? They'll give me unique chatters per stream, but they won't let me know if those unique chatters were in the last stream too. So for example, Cowtel, if you, I don't think you were in last week's stream where we tried this last time. So you would be new to this stream, according to my database, if I had that on. And so my metric is, if I'm getting a bunch of people to come in, say hi, and then never come back again, then I'm either they're not part of like what I want, they're not part of my target audience, or they are part of my target audience, but I'm not capturing them properly. That's a business terminology of like capture. It's horrible. Yes, all the metrics, and then I can make little graphs and other things. It'll be cool. Which there are some cool graph REST crates that I've actually seen recently. So I really want to try those out too. Okay, so here's all these. I don't know why load is yelling at me here when it's not really yelling at me. Yeah, it's weird that, I wonder, can I restart the RLS? Yeah, okay, that's when it just RLS needed to be restarted. Okay, so we have displayed post titles. So in publish posts, I want to display the post titles first. So self dot display post titles. I guess I actually want to rename this now. Display unpublished titles. Unpublished titles, just like that. And then what post do you want to publish? All right. So let's go ahead and run this. So I'm going to say self dot display on, not display, we want to publish post. And I'm going to go ahead and comment out, and we'll add another to do in here. To do, ask user if we want to read all posts. Save. All right, so now this should give us that list. I can't think of a lot of data you want to collect. Well, I mean, that's the only data right now that I can think of. There might be more in the future. All right, so here we go. Display all unpublished posts. ID is 3, third post. Which post do you want to publish? Now we need to get that ID. So we displayed this. What post do you want to publish? Okay, so we'll do let ID post ID equals, and this needs to be mutable because we're going to do the entire thing where we're going to grab from the command line again. Okay, so this is going to be a string new. Then we're going to get from the command line. Where is it? It's standard. It's this thing standard in. So standard in dot read line. Hand it a mutable reference to the post ID. And then we need to unwrap this. All right, so now we have, what are you upset about? Okay, you're not upset. Cool. You're just being slow. You'd want the time date of when a user visits a stream and also the time date of when they leave. Also chat activity, how many words they type while watching. I don't know if I care about the words, like how many words they type while watching. Yes, when people come in and leave, that would be amazing if I can get that. But what I found out is that Twitch's API is very unreliable when it comes to actually figuring out like when somebody comes to watch a stream. The only way I can think of to track that would be if I could write in a web interface that you go and watch the stream through that web interface, log in there, and then I can track when you log in and come to that page. But it's going to be such a hard sell to get people to like move away from Twitch into my area that like I don't think I would get very good data on that. Yeah, and Twitch, like once I get like 1,000 viewers, I'm like it just stops completely, and they don't even give you that detail anymore. Okay, so we get our post. So this needs to be an integer. So we need to convert this. And I think what I can do is I can shadow it. What we want to do here, we want to go back and, here's our update. So it's going to be update post find ID. Oh, so see here, they have this parse. So parse I32. So that's what I could do here. So before our unwrap, so read line. Oh, they're doing args. Maybe it won't be parse. This might come in as a string. Can a string do a parse as it? I think it might be able to. So unwrap this, then we can parse. No suggestions. So maybe parse as an I32. No, that's a, I like that. But then we need to expect the parse, error converting string to ID. Yeah, it doesn't like this. No method name for parse found for type usize. Oh, okay. So maybe, can I want this to be an I32, and then I want you to be an as, a dot into. The trait pound from is not, okay, so I can't do that. Maybe I can do an as I32. Okay, so you know what? This isn't gonna work. It's not gonna work because I told it that this is gonna be a string. So then I need to basically just, I'm gonna want to shadow this to make it into like what I want it to be. So let post ID equals post ID as I32. Basically, just convert it, shadow it into the same variable. Are you non-primitive cast string as this? An expression can only be used to convert between primitive types. Consider using the from trait. Okay, let's do I32 from post ID. How about that? Do you return a result? Convert from string. Okay, so there's this convert from string maybe. The trait standard convert from string or string is not implemented for I32. Okay, so I can't get it like that. I know there is a parse. Let's see. Even if the AFK get more info, let's see. Wait, I need to scroll back. You'd use chat to get that. Yeah. Well, the other thing is like I plan on trying to make some things to be like interactive through chat. So that'll be like chatbot type stuff. Maybe some games you can play through chat. I won't get lurkers. And I feel strongly about this because I don't want to like try to force lurkers to not be lurkers anymore. So I'm just going to get metrics for not lurkers right now and try to figure out how to deal with that later. But yeah, we'll figure out something. There's a third-party Twitch chat applications like Chatterino. Don't know if there's any additional information, but some streamers recommend it for easier chat moderation. Ooh, interesting. Yeah, so like if there's a third-party chat that will give me better data, I wonder if that would work. Okay, so I need to convert from a string. Let's see. Wrestling. I need to cast a string to I32. Here, this good old Stack Overflow. Oh, okay. So you can directly convert to an int using the string parse method, but I have a string with a capital S, and so it needs to convert this to a parse works with a string and string. Interesting. Okay. Well, then maybe I can just do this straight here. So let's try this. We'll do post ID dot parse, but I need to tell what to parse into. I32, and we probably need an unwrap here just to make sure in case if it fails because it's not a integer, then we're just crash. All right, no errors. So we have our post ID here. Back to you. So now we can do our update. So we're going to need our use the diesel and everything, so we can go ahead and update our posts. All right, so what was this? Use schema posts DSL. Now, what's interesting is before we use star, and this time they're suggesting we only need posts and published. So let's do star for right now, and then we'll see like what we can do with that. Guess you can't do 42 as I32 because it could possibly have a letter. I think it was like it didn't know that it was trying to go into U size, and there's some other things. Yeah, it didn't like the as, I guess. Right, because there probably isn't like an unwrap as part of as. I don't know. It's interesting. I could create my own convert and add it in there, but this is a little bit easier to just do. We'll just do parse. All right, so we have our ID, we have our connection. Time to do an update. 42 as U8 as I30. Oh my. No. That might actually work. But it might work, but it might not also because, oh, right, because of the U size. You probably need U32s. Well, no, so U32 and I32 cannot go into each other because I32 is signed, meaning that it has to store, it has to have like a memory space for less than negative numbers and positive numbers, whereas U is only positive numbers, so it actually can go higher in value on the positive side. So that's not compatible. All right, so post ID, we're going to do update here. So we're going to do, we don't really need to get the result in this. We just need to know that it happened. And if it happens, it's just going to work. So we're just going to say diesel update. And so we need to now, ooh, interesting. This is a post find ID. Okay, so posts, which we're expecting this to come in from this DSL here. Post.find, we're going to pass it the post ID. Now we want to set published. We want that to be equal to true. We don't need to get the results. So because we're not going to get the results, we need that execute. True self.database connection. Then our expect. Error publishing post. All right, let's see if that works. Rust Playground is your baby. Yes, no, Rust Playground is super helpful. All right, no errors here. Okay, so now this is going to be displaying, so publishing a post. Let's go ahead and run this. So what post do we want to publish? 3. Uh-oh, we panicked. At result unwrap on value parse int error, invalid digit. Oh, you know what? I bet it got the new line character at the end, and so it couldn't figure out how to like handle that. So I bet I need to trim it first. So in publish post, before we parse this, we have to trim this. Can I do .trim here? No. Method not found in usize. Oh, you know what? Because okay, so it's not there. I need to I think post ID equals post ID dot trim like this. And you know what? I bet I could do this right here. Yeah, there we go. Wait, did I leave you on? Oh, I failed to save you. That's what. Okay, third post. What post do we want to publish? 3. Hit return. Hey, it ended. All right. So let's go ahead and switch this off and go display all the published posts. And we should see all 3 now. There we go. I am not published yet is actually published. All right, last one, and then I get to go have lunch. So we want to delete. So that's our final one here. We're going to delete all the posts. So add a comment view out. We're going to add in to do. Ask the user if we want to delete a post. I'm probably not actually going to do any of these things, but I do. I'll probably be making this code available, and so like this would be a good exercise, to sort of like figure out how we want to like do these things back and forth. What I'm hoping is that this is slightly different than the actual tutorial that we have here, showing how we can like basically have these different functions that work with the database. We're not doing relations with this right now, and there's some things that we can, that this ORM will actually help out with us. But let's start with publish post is actually going to be very similar to delete post. So I'm just going to copy that, going to name you delete post. Use schema post DSL. So still, what post do you want to delete? So we're going to display. This one we probably want to display all titles, which means we have this display all posts. We want to display. We want you to be copied and create display all titles. And the big difference here is no filter. It'd be neat to see you make a full mini project. Yeah, no, I actually want to do that. And I have some ideas for what I'm going to do. I'm probably going to make the chatbot thing first, and then maybe we'll make one of those. All right, so display all titles, delete posts. So we have all titles. Why are you saying you're not used? You're clearly used right here. Oh no, it's because delete post is not used. I can go up and fix that right now. So here is self.delete post. There we go. That will make that go away. Okay, so display all titles. What post do you want to delete? We get the ID, we read that in, and so here I think that is it destroy or delete? I've noticed that it's usually destroy or delete. It's going to be delete. So we're going to delete post.find. Interesting. So this one you're going to do post.filter title like pattern. So here they're going to say what post you want to delete, and you have to like write in the full title. I don't like that. Yeah, because like post demo, I don't like that at all. I want to like give it the ID so we can be very specific about what we're going to delete. So it's going to be the same thing. We're going to find the post ID. We're going to, we don't need to set delete. We need just an execute. Hand it the reference to the connection, error, deleting post. And that should be it. So now we're going to run this. Cargo run. All right, so here's our 3 posts. That's a little bit interesting how we have that space in there. What's causing that? So we have display all titles. What happened here? We're displaying all titles. All post titles for post and this. Where is second post? So we have first post, second post. You know, I think when we created the second post, we didn't trim off the data that was coming in. And so there's a new line character at the end of the second post. So I kind of need to post that title here, have this do a trim. No, just the title do a trim. Term, trim. There we go. Now, do you... Hey, what happened? Oh no, you're okay. You were just giving me an error temporarily. Let's go ahead and try this again. If you were to make this accept middleware, how would you program it? Would this sort of database need any middleware for any concept? You know, I probably wouldn't write like middleware myself. I wouldn't write a program to accept middleware, but I bet Diesel has the ability to like put middleware into their stuff. That didn't work. That didn't trim off second post here. So that's all display all title. Oh, you know what? I put the trim on the wrong one. We need dot trim here. That's where we need the trim. There we go. Displaying all unpublished posts. That's not correct. Displaying all post titles. Trim everything. Yes, I should have trimmed when we created it and put it into the database. That would have been the best place to do it. Do you connect the database to the program or the program to the database? The program connects to the database. So what I have is up here in our new, I establish a connection to the database using Diesel. So Diesel is the library ORM that I have. It has code that connects to the database. It hands me this connection, sort of like buffer or like live stream, and I just store that in our struct. Okay, so displaying all post titles. Let's delete our third post. So delete that. It ends. Because we have this really cool system here, we can now come up. Cool, so yeah. And now let's just display all the posts. You love the sound of the mechanical keyboard? Awesome. Thanks, Chantilly. And here we go. Only first post and second post is now here. So Perfect, exactly what we wanted. And this is our CRUD. So we have create, read, update, and delete. So let's go through like really quickly what we did, and then I'm probably going to bring the stream to a close. So beginning, like we had already installed the DSOL CLI, but we used that DSOL CLI to create ourselves some migrations. These migrations ended up coming in here. And so, for example, we created this migration that creates our post table, and it sets everything in. We made a mistake when doing this and accidentally set all posts to be automatically published when we really wanted them to not be published. So we had to create another migration later to alter that post and now set the default to be false just for that column. We also added a new column just to show off what that would look like at this point in time. Then we were able to come into our main file. All we're doing here is just grabbing the database URL connection string that is in the .env file. Now this file should be like, not pushed to GitHub. So like make sure it's secret in your gitignore. Then we go ahead and instantiate an instance of our DSOL demo app, pass it the string of their connection URL, and then we just run it. Now moving into our library, this is where all the magic happens. This is where we basically establish our connection, store that connection, then we run in the main file, and we can do any number of one of these things. Possibly the best way to deal with this would be to have some kind of like menu system and ask the user, hey, what do you want to do? And then you can check like 1 for add a new post. And then it would bring up the entire add new post function and run that. And then when it's done, bring you back to the menu again and sort of just have that infinite loop of whatever you're doing. We're not doing that. We don't, we're just doing one thing at a time as part of this, this demo essentially. Now in display all posts, for example, I'm just going to go over display all posts, and then everything else sort of is based upon that. We have to bring in the dynamic something language. I forget what the S stands for. You're for transparency with all your users. That's where you keep all their passwords visible in GitHub. Of course, you don't need security if you're just all about open, not source, just open everything. Of course, that's the best idea. Why didn't I think about that? So this DSL is from this schema file. The schema file is automatically generated by DSL for us, and this is what it looks like. We can use this macro. Hey, Katali! We can use this macro to now basically do our queries. It's going pretty well. How are you doing? I was able to get DSOL and connected to the database. Okay, so we can now basically in here, we have access to posts, and posts, if we remember, is essentially a macro that's created. Just came for the cinema? Well, awesome. We're going to then filter published equals true. Now filter is coming from this DSL. So what I could do here is essentially just say, I want filter, and I want published, and I want all those things. But it's a lot easier for us to switch this to star, and we'll just get everything, everything by default. So give us all the published posts. We'll load this. We have to tell it what post we're going to get, and so that's where this model comes from. So if we go into models, here we have our post. We tell it that it's queryable, and this is exactly what the database structure looks like. Back to here, give it the reference to the connection, We're doing expects because we haven't set up any kind of error handling properly for it. And now we can loop through them all. And it's just a standard vector, essentially, that what we got back. And we can print them all out. Everything else that we have here is pretty much similar. We're able to just basically run like DSL delete, hand it the post, and it's the same DSL type thing happening. And that's it. DSL is pretty simple to use. We didn't go into any like advanced relations or anything else with that. I think I'll save that for like future stuff, or maybe doing like an actual like real tutorial for it. But we now have the ability to, you know, get this into put all this stuff into databases into REST stuff. So I think it's perfect. DSL, you saw Parasites and you loved it? Awesome. I haven't seen the movie. I saw that it won at least one Oscar, which is pretty awesome. Okay, so I want to go to GitHub. I don't think you can see this because I'm in. Yeah, you can't see this because I'm in a different window. But I want to create a new repository, which I'm going to put onto Brooks Builds, and we're going to name this. Is the ID incremental or some random hash? It's going to be incremental. So I can show that in the up here. When we create the posts, ID is serial, and that serial tells SQL to make it incremental. And so it just goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Repository name, we're going to call this learning DSL. Make it public, create repository, give me the URL. Serial, yes, serial primary key. Let's come into here, and we're going to do git init. Oh, reinitialize. Okay, so it was already initialized. Never mind. Git remote add origin. If we come here, now we have everything in like the everything is showing up here. Now what do we not want to show up? So the .env should not show up. So in our get ignore, let's put in .env, save that. Let's see, cargo lock, that's fine. Cargo toml, DSL toml. Git keep. I'm not used to, oh, that's, I don't remember, I don't actually know what that is off the top of my head. Oh, it's created in a migrations folder. Interesting. Oh, I think this keeps like the folders. Sort of like it makes them actually look like real folders on GitHub. So migrations, the library main, models, and schema. Perfect. That's exactly what we want here. So now I should be able to add all of you. Oh, you know what? One thing that I can do here is I'm going to copy .env to .env.example. I'm going to keep it exactly as it is. Let's add that in here. Our .en example. Rename. I want you to be .env.example. So re-add you. Okay. No, don't show that. Okay, so this is basically just like the basic stuff that I'm getting from my local Docker implementation, like, you know, Docker container holding Postgres. Yeah, it's not secret at all. Like you're not gonna be able to hack anybody with this. I'll be interested to see if I get like an email saying you have a .env in here. You need to not do that. Okay, so we have you. Let's go ahead and publish this. Initial commit. Let's see. Cancel. Let's add you in. Initial commit. Wait, what's unsaved? The library. What did I do? I'm sure it's fine. Let's save that. Initial commit. Hit that. I want to publish the master branch. I don't think you'll get that. The bots will check for .env, not .sample. What I have seen in the past was something that looked like a connection string, and it wasn't me, but it was one of my coworkers who got like sort of hit by that. It's like, hey, you have connection strings. Like, I know. They're in the example files. They're not real. They just look really real though. All right, so here's all this code. Let's copy you. And I am going to give this to you in chat. There you go. So if you want to take a look at the code, if you want to sort of like try to implement any of those to-dos, or maybe like some kind of menu system, maybe add comments or some other like add something else in, I think that would be really cool. So if you do that, please tweet at me so I can see what you did and let me know. I have my Twitter link down below so that you can hopefully find that. Or it's down below only if you're in a desktop. If it's in the stream description if you have if you're on mobile. But with that, it's 1:13 now. I know the time changed, so it still feels like it's 12 or so, but I'm hungry, so I'm gonna go get lunch. With that, thank you everybody for stopping by. This was super awesome. I'm super happy I've got a database set up. I think next time I'm gonna figure out actually get that chatbot thing working now, and start storing off that data, and then we'll move on to whatever the next project's gonna be. Maybe it'll be like a more official like diesel tutorial, or maybe it'll be that Canon game. With that, thank you once again everyone for stopping by. I hope that you all have a great weekend, and I'll see you next time, whenever that is.